Welcome to another episode of Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy and Dino.
And sometimes Jared.
Down the Barrel Podcast is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and Wolf.Report. Dead Nuts Outdoors, creators of the most realistic 2D archery targets on the market. Practice how you hunt. Hit it dead nuts. Visit deadnutsoutdoors.com to gear up.
Okay, today we're here with Mr. Bernie Barringer. Thanks for joining us, Bernie.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about the International Black Bear Show that's happening down in Barnum at the end of the month.
Yep.
Right?
Coming fast.
Yeah, no doubt. So everything's looking good. You're ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I've been really busy getting things prepared for it, and it's pretty exciting. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this. We've got more than 60 vendors already signed up, so we just need the people to come and enjoy the weekend. And I sort of set it up like a weekend rendezvous for families, and so you can come and camp.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
You know, there's camping available, both RV camping with hookups and tent camping, and we got a lot of youth activities in addition to the vendors and the bait dealers. There's a lot of people coming to sell you something and show you something and so forth.
That sounds fun. So is that why you picked that venue? Because they had camping and all that, the space for that?
Yes, I actually rented the entire Carleton County Fairgrounds, and I chose that spot because it's really easy for people in Wisconsin and northern Minnesota to get to. And even, you know, we're within 3 to 4 hours from the western end of the UP.
Right.
And we've actually got some dealers and taxidermists coming from the UP. So all over Wisconsin and Minnesota, a lot of people coming.
Nice.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, so
that's at
obviously
Fairgrounds, Carleton County Fairgrounds. And what were the dates on that again?
July 25th through the 27th.
Right.
Yeah, so come, like you said, coming up fast. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does somebody go about getting camping for that? Just show up at the
So
camper?
it's this first year, it's just first come, first serve.
Sure.
There's about 100 RV spots.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a lot of camping, and we could probably put another close to 100 tents in there. So I don't think we'll fill it this year. It'd be fun if we did, but it's this first year is just going to be first come, first serve. And people can start coming on Thursday. So if they want to camp a night early or whatever, the show starts at 10 a.m. on Friday. And that's when all the buildings will be open. And we got 3 dealer buildings.
Okay.
Wow.
And plus there'll be some outside vendors too, and food trucks. We got
Nice.
a barbecue truck and all kinds of cool stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds like a great event. I think it's one that's been lacking up here in northern Minnesota anyway. I haven't heard of another one. I mean, I've always bear hunted. Well, when I could get a permit, I've hunted for many years, and it's just one of those things you don't see a lot of compared to, let's say, deer hunting or duck hunting. You don't have that organizational structure behind it, and it's good to see that you're
But
putting together the show.
There's a lot more bear hunters than people realize. You know,
Absolutely.
there's about over 20,000 people apply for tags in Minnesota every year.
Really? Wow.
And there's even more in Wisconsin. Plus, then you got Michigan, and we've got people coming from Ontario, and even a couple outfitters from Manitoba and Saskatchewan. I got a guy that does bear guiding in Alaska that's coming to the show.
Wow.
Really?
That's cool.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah, and then it looks like you have seminars as well.
Got a lot of seminars from
Okay.
top bear hunters and interesting things, not just, you know, how to hunt bear, but we actually have a guy who's a professional anatomy. He calls himself the anatomy hunter, and he's super knowledgeable about the actual anatomy of deer and bears. And he talks about how the lungs work and everything, and the actual wound path of an arrow and a bullet and stuff like that. He's given 3 seminars, and they're like, people sit there with their eyes wide open going, I never knew this stuff. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be.
Oh, yeah. Particularly with black bears.
And we got bear cooking seminars.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to think of what else we got. We got information, on just how to bait bears
Right.
and bear biology and things like that. Not just, if you like bears, you need to be there.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're hunting black bears, you definitely need to be there because you're going to get to meet all the folks that sell all this great gear, all this great bait, and have all this knowledge that are willing to share it with you, I'm assuming, at this event. So
Yeah, and we have, all the lures and sprays and everything. The companies are there. We got several bear bait suppliers. A couple of them are bringing semi-loads of bait, so you could actually come bring your pickup or a trailer and just buy your bait right there for the year.
Nice. That
Yeah.
makes it easy.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to do this year. I haven't had to do it in 5 years, so
Right.
gonna have to start stocking up. But luckily, I got a bear distributor, Lucky Seven,
Right,
just
pretty
down the
close.
road from
Yeah.
about
Yep.
a mile from my house. So
I would imagine they're going to be there.
I think they are.
Yeah,
I
they'll
think
be-
they are. Yeah.
Lucky Seven's going to be there. Wildwood Bear Bait. Boy, there's a couple others. Kingpin Bear Bait's
Yep.
another one.
Mhm.
There's 5 or 6 of them. I shouldn't have started listing them because I can't remember.
You're gonna forget somebody, but that's okay.
Yeah. And
I
I was
think it's
just,
all on the website, right?
Yeah, it's all on the website. You can go to blackbearshow.com and you can look at the seminar list and the list of all the dealers that are going to be there and all the activities, and it's all on there.
Right.
yeah, I was going through the seminar list, and yeah, a few names to recognize.
Yeah, I
Alice-
think those
Alice
worthless.
Wheezy.
Yeah,
Wheezies.
worthless outdoors, right? That's it. Just kidding. We love you, Alice.
Karen cooking bear meat, and bear biology. Looks like anatomy of a hunter. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of cool seminars that are going on. That'll pretty much handle blood tracking dogs.
Yep.
So from the Minnesota tracking dogs, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, and I made it cheap to get in too. Everything once you get in the gate is all free, and it only costs $10 per person to get through the gate. 12
That's cheap.
or 13 and over, so everybody 12 and under is free. And I'm just trying to make it so everybody can afford to bring the family and just really come and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about trying to make it down.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. It's a very busy weekend, unfortunately
Right.
for us, but
Right.
I definitely want to at least make it there to visit.
Yep.
I would love to be able to stay because that sounds like a hoot.
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, youth archery range, dart archery targets, cornhole, ladder golf games. Stuff for the youth. So, yeah, that's pretty neat.
We got one of the fun things we do for kids is it's called a straw scramble, where you just bust up a couple of bales of straw and you throw a whole bunch of coins in there, like $20 worth of nickels and dimes and quarters, and then you say go, and all the kids they jump in there and they try to get all that money. And if I got prizes, they get a really nice pellet rifle if they find a quarter with purple fingernail polish on it. And that person wins a pellet rifle. Then another kid wins a
Nice.
$10 bill for finding the right coin and stuff like that. Plus, they get to keep the money. And it's just fun things for kids to do.
Right. And well, that's always nice. So you can bring the whole family out and there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
You got to get yourself an ice cream truck or something there too.
Yeah, we do need.
Or that
Snow
Kona
cones or
ice.
something.
Kona ice.
Right?
Yeah,
Kona
that's always
ice,
a good
Yeah,
one.
they've been.
I'm looking forward to the barbecue. Though.
Oh, yeah.
Holy Smokes Barbecue out of Cloquet. They got a really good
Do they?
reputation, and they're
Yeah.
providing breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Nice.
And we got a company called Hunter's Blend Coffee. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're out of Ohio, but they're providing free coffee for everybody
Really?
for the weekend. Yeah.
Wow.
From 7 to 9 each morning, you get free Hunter's Blend coffee.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
That's worth a trip down just for coffee.
Just to check it out. Yeah, I bet they'll be selling some too.
Yeah, you should go visit their website too, because they got a lot of cool videos where they're blowing stuff up and everything. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew, but coffee creamer's explosive.
I
I think I heard that.
So they got this one video on their website where they're like, you don't need coffee creamer in our coffee, so you might as well blow it up. And they just there's a fireball. They blow up a lot of stuff. It's cool. They're just really fun guys that produce some really good coffee.
Yeah,
Nice.
our kind of people.
Mhm,
sure.
No doubt. Sounds like a fun time for sure.
Yeah.
So come on down, learn about black bear, learn about black bear hunting.
Hang out with black bear hunters, sit around the campfire in the evening, and
Yeah, I was going to
talk
ask you
about
if there was
bears.
any
That's-
evening activities going
I
on.
actually got a guy bringing a pickup load of firewood so we can throw some, get a couple of good campfires going and sit around lawn chairs and tell jokes or
Yep.
stories about and bear hunting lies or
Right.
whatever.
Well, yeah, you got to do
I'm
that.
sure somebody's got to have a guitar somewhere around there that can, at least play a little bit of a tune. I'm
Oh yeah,
guessing.
there's always somebody with a guitar.
Yeah.
I won't bring mine.
Mm-mm.
No, I do.
No.
I do. I have two actually. And
Really?
I can like play a D chord. That's about it.
I couldn't even do that. So Bernie, I mean, you seem to be the best person to do this. I mean, because you have a history. Obviously, you're a bear hunting guide, right?
Right.
And how long have you been doing the bear guiding service?
So I've only been guiding for about 5 years
Really?
professionally, but I started by helping friends and family get bears. I've been doing that for 25 years, and it just kind of was a natural progression to just become a guide.
Yeah.
And I had so many people asking me to help. I'm like, well, might as well,
Didn't
Get
make
paid for it.
get paid for it.
Yeah.
right, no doubt.
And it's been phenomenal. I'm pretty shocked, actually. I'm probably one of the highest priced guides in the state, but I'm just booked up. I'm completely booked for 25, 26, and about over half booked for 27. And I'm already taking deposits for 2028.
Well,
So,
I must have a good track record then.
well, everybody that's ever hunted with me has had a chance to shoot a bear.
Yeah.
So I don't think very many people can, maybe others can boast 100% opportunity rate, but I put the money and the time into it, and I got a really good system that works. So
That's all it
yeah,
takes.
I really pour the bait to them. I think that's the thing that a lot of people are unwilling to do is just bait costs a lot of money
Oh yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it
I
does.
mean, it's $150 for a barrel of trail mix, and last year I went through $8,000 worth of bait. So,
Ouch.
but yeah, I know it cuts into the profit. That's for sure. But there's a lot of people baiting out there, and there's a lot of natural foods, and if you don't keep pouring a really high quality food to them, and you can lose them, and they'll go somewhere else. Bears are they got a real low patience level for coming to a barrel that there's nothing in.
Yeah. Well, that happened to me last time I was baiting. I kind of got distracted and took a week off and missed baiting and came back to do some hunting, and I didn't get a bear.
Yeah.
And I had a ton of them there before.
So we've had a handful of guides on the podcast, and I don't know if we've ever asked, like, what does it take to become a guide in Minnesota?
So, yeah, that's a great question. There's a program you have to go through, a class, and then you have to pass a test. And the restrictions, once you're a guide, are pretty stiff. Well, you don't want to make a mistake. You have to keep really good records, and the DNR has forms that you have to fill out and return, and you have to. Boy, if you screw that up, you can lose your license. So it's pretty restrictive. The course is not hard for people that just understand bears and understand the laws. If you read the regulations booklet and pay attention in the class, you can pass the test to get a guide's license. But from there on, you better mind your manners because there's a lot of little things that you don't think of.
Yeah,
but no like apprenticeship requirement or anything like that.
No, there's two
like
levels of guides. There's just a regular guide, and then there's a master guide. And if you want to be a master guide, you have to reach that level, but you have to be a master guide in order to have hire people under you. Okay. So you can't have guides actually taking people out to the field and so forth unless you're a master guide. So that's what I've done. And then actually I have 3 guides that work for me, and 2 of them went through the program and got guides licenses themselves. And they don't have to, but they just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And but I've been really fortunate. I found just really super good guys they're good with people, and they're attentive to their needs and listen carefully, and they're not afraid of hard work. Because I'm telling you, if you think that throwing out a pile of donuts you're going to shoot a bear, you're in for a surprise because it's hard work.
I bet.
It's just a lot to it.
Right. Yeah, and all the pre-gaming, because you're up here now kind of pre-gaming for baiting.
Yeah, I have to go down all the trails and make sure there's always trees that fall across the trails, and make sure I can get to the baits. We've had so much rain this year. I got a couple baits I'm concerned that I'm going to be able to get to because there's water. And, I don't have one of those 6-wheeled Argos. I just have ATVs and side-by-sides that we go to the baits with.
Right.
And so that's something that's got to be done early in the summer. There's just work to be done all year. You got to repair stuff. Bears are notorious for tearing barrels off the trees and breaking things and stuff like that. And, it's been, 6-7 years that you've been able to use barrels in Minnesota, and I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't. And I've found that no matter how you work at keeping a lid on a barrel, a bear can figure out how to get it off. And if you start running out of bait, they'll twist those barrels up in knots. And I went to a bait site where there's a barrel. The barrel's still there, but I can't find the lid, and literally never found it. I mean, went circles and circles around the bait for 50, 75, 100 yards and never found the lid to the barrel. It's still out there somewhere.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you have something like that happen to your house, Jared? Did they take your archery target or
Yeah,
something?
they've taken a couple archery targets,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, and just haul them off into the woods and shred them up. And then I buy a new one, and then they come back.
I lost a bird feeder that way. Never, ever found that thing.
And last year was a bad year for bears at my house.
Yeah.
They destroyed our bird feeders. We had probably like 15 of them out there.
You know, there's not very many natural foods available last year. Last year, the berries were way down, the acorns were down. And that's why I went through so much bait, because I was
Feeding all the bears.
the most popular guy in northern Minnesota when it comes to bears.
Well, what are you seeing this year as far as natural goes?
I'm seeing quite a few blueberries in areas. Raspberries are looking pretty good, and you know it has a lot to do with when you get in the right rains at the right times. But also, most people don't realize that most bear foods are insect pollinated, and so you can go out there and some years you just look and there's like, where's all the raspberries? And it's because they didn't get pollinated.
Yep.
And then other years you can have, there's a lot of raspberries that start, but they never really fill out and get, good and juicy. I think the raspberries that started this year are going to be in pretty good shape because we've had a lot of moisture.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, it's hard to say yet, but I would say that it's definitely going to be a lot more natural food than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all this. Right.
So how many
green out there?
bait stations do you set out?
I'm running about 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you can have what, 2 per?
You can have 3 per
3 per?
person plus 3 per guide.
Okay.
And so I'm running probably 13 hunters this year. So I could actually have more than 30.
Right.
But that's all.
A lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It takes a lot to maintain it all and run those. We try to run them at least every other day, and it's a lot of work, but it's really, really worth it. And frankly, I love it because you're getting in the woods every day and you're around bears, and the trail cameras are like, I got trail cameras on every bait, and some of the most fun is just checking the pictures and the videos on the trail cameras.
Yeah.
That's almost like a sport in itself.
Right.
And seeing all the bears, and we're in an area northeast of Grand Rapids, up in through that area, zone 27, where there's a fair number of color phase bears. We get about 20 to 25% chocolates.
Wow.
And so we've killed at least 1 or 2 chocolate brown ones every year. And that's pretty cool too, is when you see one of those show up on a bait and you go, "Oop, there's a brown one." People are going to love it. Everybody that shot a bear or 2, they're starting to think, okay, what do I do now? Do I want to try to get a Boone and Crockett? Do I want to try to get color phase bear? And the color phases, they kind of turned my crank. I've shot all 4 of the major color phases, and I got them all mounted together. It's
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So what are the 4 color phases?
Well, there's of course black, and then chocolate. Cinnamon is a really reddish tint, and then blonde.
Okay.
And I've actually shot 2 blondes and 1 cinnamon, but I think 5 or 6 chocolates I've shot now. So
Were those all in Minnesota?
no, about half and half. The blonde I shot way up in northern Saskatchewan, and I'll tell you that story if we got time.
Oh yeah, all the time in the world.
It's a crazy story because I had been trying to get a blonde bear for 8 years, and I'd went with several different outfitters that had blonde bears on camera. And at the Minneapolis Sports Show, I ran into this guy, and I was walking by his booth, and he had a picture of a blonde bear in his booth, and I just stopped, and he recognized me because he subscribes to Bear Hunting Magazine. I've been writing for Bear Hunting Magazine forever, and he's like, "Hey, Bernie, you want a blonde, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you ain't kidding." And he says, "I can get you a blonde. I'll guarantee it." And I'm like, "Well, that's a pretty tall order, So anyway, I didn't talk to him very much about it at that time. I was busy, but then he comes the next year and he starts texting me pictures of his hunters killing blonde bears. And the next year, he's there at the show again. I walk up and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And so it's way up in northern Saskatchewan. It's like planes, trains, and automobiles just to get there because you go through. I drove to Saskatoon, then got in a little plane, like every seat's a window seat, that kind of plane. And we flew to it's a uranium mining company up in northern Saskatchewan that has a gravel airstrip. So that's where we flew into. And then it's about 20 miles by four-wheeler till you get into a boat. And then you boat out to the island where his camp is. And the lake's called No Name Lake. The guy's name is Big Spruce Outfitting. It was quite an experience. And so the first day we go out and he says, "Okay, we're going to go out and check some baits and check the cameras. And then we're going to go fishing. We're going to have a shore lunch and then decide where to put the hunters, for the day." And so we go to the second bait we went to and he pulls out the camera and he says, "Look at this." And it's a beautiful big male, just blonde as blonde could be. And I'm like, "Oh man, that's my dream bear right there." And I said, "Well, when was that bear here?" And he says, 8 minutes ago.
Oh, no.
And I said, "Forget shore lunch. I'm going to hunt right now."
Yeah.
So I went back to the boat and I grabbed my bow and my backpack and set my camera up on a tripod. And I look up and here the bear comes. It's like, here he comes. And so Mark, the guide, he's down at the boat. He's grabbing a couple more of my things. And I said, "Mark, the bear's here." And the bear, he starts walking up towards me like, "That's moving. It might be food." Because those bears never see humans.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, the bear's walking up and I'm scrambling to get my camera on the tripod because I'm videoing this for my YouTube channel. And I got the video rolling and stuff like that. And the bear turned sideways and made a perfect shot. He ran 60 yards. And I'm like, that's that. 8 years, and it took me like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Time to go fishing to get shore lunch.
Right.
So we went back to meet the people we're having shore lunch with, the other hunters, and they're like, "Well, what'd the cameras look like?" And I said, "Well, I got it, my blonde." And they're all like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Look at this." Because we skinned the bear and everything. We brought it all back, and it's in the boat with us. I'm like, "Check this skin out." And they're like, "You got to be kidding."
That is wild.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it rarely plays out like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe up there. It's more common.
So then you just fished the rest of the time and
Yeah.
hung out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was really a lot of fun.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year was that?
That was 2018.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is that far north, you really don't have any nocturnal bears because it's daylight from about 3 a.m. until midnight.
Okay.
You can literally see your sights on your boat till between 11:30 and midnight. And so if you're going to sit, you're going to sit a long, long time in a tree stand. And in fact, most of them don't have tree stands because the trees are too small. So most of them are ground blinds. And, I shot my bear. There was a pile of brush with a lawn chair behind it, and that's how I shot mine.
Wow. And that's pretty cool that you got it with a bow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, I got all four of the colors
Okay.
with a bow, and I might be the first one who did that. There's other people that have shot all four,
Yeah.
but there's no record-keeping organization, so I can't really say for sure. But I don't know of anyone else that has shot all four or had shot all four before I did.
Yeah.
I've heard from people since that, they read the stories in Bear Hunting Magazine. They saw my YouTube channel. They're like, "I'm going to do that." And so a few other people have now. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, we need to start a record company
Right.
so we can keep all those records. And
Right,
I think like the first 30 are going to be just Bernie. Bernie.
Well, right now, I think they would be around here
Yeah.
for sure. No doubt. So,
I've actually shot 42 bears. So,
Really?
Wow.
and people say, "What do you do with all those bears?" And I'm like, "Well, I can eat about 2 a year,
Yeah.
maybe 3.
yeah.
So
You just do you make sausage
I
with
made a
that?
lot of sausage,
Yeah.
breakfast sausage, summer sausage. Bear meat's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I love
It's
it.
surprising how many people have had a bad experience with bear meat, but if the if the bears aren't eating dead fish or carrion or something like that, and you take good care of them and get them cleaned up quickly and get them cooled off, bear meat's really, really good.
Yeah.
It is. When was there our board meeting? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just had really good bear meat, courtesy of our friends Diane Britton and Peter Lodermeyer. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What was it, like ground or?
No, it was
steak?
just like a slow cooker bear roast.
Okay.
Yeah. It was very good.
I put bear roast in a slow cooker, and people couldn't tell it from beef.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had a bear roast, but summer sausage and breakfast sausage, and I know I've had a steak probably or something similar. So
Right.
I think it's great. I like it.
The loins are good grilled.
Yeah.
And I use, I don't know if you're familiar with like Johnsonville breakfast sausage, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So Cabela's makes what they call a German breakfast sausage seasoning, and I mix it with the bear, and I put bacon ends and pieces in it and grind that up about 20-25% of bacon ends and pieces with the bear meat and that German breakfast sausage seasoning. Holy cow, is it good?
Yeah.
It's good just plain. It's good in biscuits and gravy. There's so many different things you can do with it.
I'm hungry, and you better get a bear this.
I know, right? Oh,
Well, hey, since we value education on this program,
yeah.
why don't you teach what is the do's and don'ts of cooking bear meat? Like how do we avoid trichinosis?
So the Centers for Disease Control say that trichinosis is killed at 137 degrees, which is kind of between medium and medium rare. I prefer to go with like 145 just to be sure, which is, there could be a little bit of pink to it, but for the most part, the best way to cook bear meat is just cook it all the way through. That's why you put the roast in the slow cooker and things like that. So that's the safety factor. But the biggest key to having good quality meat is realizing that the bear hunts take place in warm weather. And you get the skin off the bear and get the meat cooled down. It's not like a deer where you just hang it for a week, in November. You need to get the bear cooled down quickly, get the guts out of it or whatever. And at my bear camp, we do every bear the night of. Like we get them in, get them skinned, get them quartered up and put them in the freezer. Even if we're up at 3 o'clock in the morning still skinning bears, we want them all taken care of. I almost never leave one overnight unless I'm certain that it's like a gut shot that's going to take a few hours to die, get them cooled off, get the meat taken care of right away, and just realize that it's a race against time to really have good quality meat because of the temperatures. 1st of September, you might be dealing with nights that are only getting down to 70 degrees.
So do you have like a big walk-in freezer?
I just have like, I think 7 or 8 chest freezers.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So, yeah.
And your clients, what's kind of the average breakdown of firearms versus archery?
It's about half and half.
Yeah.
Crossbows are pretty popular with baited bears. Crossbows, bows, firearm, shotgun. A lot of people like to use shotgun slugs, and they make a big hole.
Yeah.
My daughter, when she was 16, killed her first bear with a 20 gauge slug, and she shot it through the heart, and it didn't go very far. And we were following it through the brush, and we looked down, and our pant legs are both soaked with blood. It was like, it just like
Left a good size hole to track.
it was an easy track.
Yeah.
No doubt. So most of your customers, are they from northern Minnesota or they come from all over?
I would say probably less than half are from Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Like this year, I got 3 guys from Nebraska, a lot of Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. It takes up to 12 years to draw a tag in Wisconsin. So a lot of guys are like, I'm going to hunt. I can hunt Minnesota twice before I'll get a tag in Wisconsin. So I get quite a bit of that. I had 2 guys from Wisconsin last year. Had a 13-year-old girl that shot a huge bear. She was from Fargo last year. Yeah, she passed up a couple of them. I'm like, holy cow, it's your first bear. I don't know if you want to pass up that bear, but she ended up shooting a 300, and I can't remember what it was, 328 or something.
Wow.
Just a beautiful bear.
That's
but yeah,
that's nice.
more than half of the hunters are from out of the state.
Mm.
I got a group of 6 from Pennsylvania for next year.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have a YouTube channel right now called
Right.
Bow Hunting Road.
Right.
You talk mainly right now about bear hunting. Has it always been that way?
You know, the channel started out, and the reason it's called Bow Hunting Road about, 12 years ago when I started it, it was, it was more public land whitetail hunting where I traveled. And I was doing a lot of writing for North American Whitetail and Whitetail Journal. I wrote for all of the major national whitetail magazines, and I was, kind of their DIY public land guy. I wrote a column in North American Whitetail, the DIY public land column, for quite a few years. And I just started filming it because I could see that the magazine industry was starting to trend downward, as YouTube became available. And so I just started filming some of these hunts and strategies and how to approach public land, deer hunting and stuff like that when you're hunting in land that's got a lot of pressure. Killed some really nice bucks in Kansas, North Dakota, Montana, Missouri, Iowa. And then the bear hunting thing, I started doing some of my bear hunts on there, and I was like, geez, they're getting a lot more views. They got really good views. And then along comes the hunting public, which everybody, if you're on YouTube, you've probably seen the hunting public.
Yep.
Well, they just basically took over the do-it-yourself public land stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, I'm just going to roll with this bear hunt stuff. It's really going good. And, I was writing a column in Bear Hunting Magazine, and I was doing bear hunting seminars all over Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, at the deer classics and at sports shows. And I suppose it was back in about 2016 or 17. Then I started just really doing a lot more of the bear videos. And I was at a sports show in Michigan, and at the end of my seminar, I just said, anybody got any questions? And this guy stood up in the back and he goes, I got a question for the bear professor. And I'm like, I'm going to roll with that. I liked it. So I just became the bear professor. And, I do YouTube videos called The Bear Professor Answers Your Questions and stuff like that. And, I've just been sharing knowledge on there, and it's got a big following. There's 36,000 subscribers now. And
Wow.
Nice.
And people eat up the stuff. And I just, I put videos on there of this is what I'm doing now to get ready for bear season. I'm out clearing trails, and I filmed myself with the skid loader trying to move this storage container, and it looked like an idiot. I mean, there's people that drive a skid loader every day that are going to look at this video and go, boy, that guy, but I videoed it, and I'll put it on there, and people will watch it,
Right. Yep.
They do, and I think we all follow it, and it's, I always enjoy your content just because, well, for one, it's up here in our area. So I'm familiar with a lot of what you talk about, and it's good information. And I like it this year because I finally got my tag. So I'm going to be back out there, and I just need that kind of a refresher.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff on there. There's a whole playlist with, I think it's got probably 200 videos of, it's just information about how to use the right bait, how often to bait, how much bait you should be using, how to choose location. A lot of people don't realize the value of choosing the right location. And people are always surprised when they say, I can't get these bears to come in during the daylight. And I say, it's probably your location. And they're like, what? It's probably the bear doesn't feel comfortable coming to that bait in the daylight for some reason. And then I go into details on that.
Right.
And I think most people are really surprised when they think some bears are just nocturnal or they've been educated in some way. And the reality is, most of the time, it's just there's something they don't feel comfortable about. They don't feel safe there in the daylight. So I've moved bait 50 yards and went from really struggling to get bears in the daylight 50 yards away, and all of a sudden they're always there. They're an hour before dark, and it made that much difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and with, when you first started out doing whitetail hunting videos and stuff, and then, like you said, the hunting public came out, there's just, YouTube and seemed like that kind of blew up. Everybody was, whitetail hunting, taking videos. And then when you start doing your bear hunting, there's still, I don't know if there's that many people out there videoing the bear hunting and the knowledge that you have. from what I've seen. Maybe there is more now, but
Yeah, I think there's a few starting to prop up, but
Yep.
I've honestly, I kind of was the first with the most, I think,
Yep.
and I don't mean that to sound arrogant. I just, there's other people out there, but a lot of them they're sort of regurgitating what I've already said.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and that's cool that you were the first to do that.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot that have put out the bear hunting, right? But it's not like exclusive to bear hunting, you know? Like you get the meat eaters of the world, and Clay Newcomb like kind of specializes in that, but that's one out of every 45,000 episodes,
right?
Yep.
Right. To where you just focus on it.
Yeah.
To the whole process of it. Right?
Yeah, that's
to
what I
prepping,
like.
to baiting, right? To hunting, to processing, obviously. And you're guiding on top of that, so you get to do it more and more and more than anybody else.
Yeah.
The more you're around bears, the more you learn about them, and the more you realize how little you actually know. It's not illegal to feed bears. You just can't hunt where you can feed bears all summer. You just can't hunt there. So I've got, where I have my bear camp up northeast of Grand Rapids, but I live south of Brainerd. And I'm swimming in bears where I live. So I feed bears in my backyard. And I learned so much about bears just by observing them. And some of them get pretty used to me. The other day, I drove out there to throw a couple of buckets of trail mix in the barrel. And there's a bear just sitting there watching me come up on the four-wheeler. And he's just kind of watching like, I don't know how close I'm going to be able to get to him, but they get pretty accustomed to it. And there's some absolute giants in that Fort Ripley area that come out, and holy smokes, there's some big bears I got on camera in my backyard. And, it's kind of fun to watch, and especially during the end of May till about the 4th of July, it's the breeding season.
Okay.
And then you get a couple sows that are around there all the time, and next thing you know, it's like, whoa, there's a big one. And she's by herself, and the next 3 days she's with this great big one, Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's just, I really enjoy just learning about them and observing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My family cabin is down in that Fort Ripley area, and we've had some monsters on camera as well. I've never hunted down there.
Yeah, well, between Fort Ripley and Crow Wing State Park, there's a lot of acres right there that aren't hunted, and it's a bear factory.
Yeah. I'm going to try to find a picture before you leave, see if you also think this is a big bear. But that's for later.
So around here where you actually do your guiding, what do you see for an average, let's say a large bear when somebody...
we see a few that probably are, 350 to 400 each year.
Yeah.
And there's some super magnums also. They're really, really hard to get. I mean, we got this one bear. He had tags in his ears, and he used to be radio collared. That's how I know all about him. The DNR calls him 6007. That's his. I just started calling him 007. That's better,
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had that bear on baits that are 14 miles apart. And so he's doing a lot of traveling, and he's big. I mean, he's well over 500 pounds. You'll never kill him. He'll never be killed by legal means, because I've got literally hundreds of trail camera pictures of him at different baits. Not one of them is in the daylight. Not a single one.
This is smart.
And he's just, those big ones, sometimes they just get basically unkillable by legal means. And if he was in Wisconsin, somebody'd probably get him with dogs. But, a bear that size can't climb a tree. He's too big.
Yeah.
His claws can't hold his weight. So they usually, the hound hunters, they get bears like that off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's a few of those around, and we see them every year. And, we had a bear that was, I hate to say it was 500 because I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hung him and it was 500. But he was killable, and we just wasn't in the right place at the right time. But I had multiple pictures of him on a bait half an hour before dark. And then this 13-year-old girl was on there, and that bear came in with 15 minutes of legal shooting light left, and it just laid down in front of her. And she didn't want to take a shot on a bear laying down with her 308. And her dad's in the stand with her going, whoa, that's a pretty big one. She's like, I'm just not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So she passed that bear up, but I would have really liked to know if that bear's 500. People talk about 500-pound bears all the time, but reality is they're extremely rare.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, even over 300 in my experience is tough to find.
Yeah. It takes a pretty good adult male to hit 300, and almost no females. Very extremely rare for a female to get that.
Get that.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for this year is 300 plus. So I may not shoot one, but
yeah,
I'm certainly going to try.
It's funny how, when you have clients that come in and they have expectations of, they have a pretty good chance of hunting with me and potentially shooting an adult male bear that's, anywhere from 250 to 4. And surprisingly, a lot of them are like, oh, there's a bear. Boom.
Yeah.
And, it's their bear. They're happy with it. So that's great. But, I had a guy that had a TV show on the Sportsman Channel. He came in and I put him on a bait. I said, there's 8 different bears that have been hitting this bait. I got 8 on camera and 2 of them are big, but they're only coming in the last half hour and they don't come every day. So, this is going to be good for your TV show because you're going to be able to just sit there and video some bear activity and stuff like that and then maybe have a chance to get a big one.
Right.
And of course, what I'm thinking is this is going to be really good for business.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like we put him in the stand and there was actually a bear on the bait when we walked in there and it ran off and he got up in the stand and 20 minutes later, he texts me, he says, I got one.
Oh, man.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So we go out there and he shot a pretty average bear. And it was a nice bear, and he was happy with it, so I was happy. But so we're 40 yards behind the bait. We're taking video for his show and everything of this bear. And somebody goes, look at one of my guys. He turns and said, look, there's another bear walking up to the barrel. It's even bigger than the one he shot. And it was actually walking up to the barrel 40 yards away while we're standing there getting ready to drag his bear out.
Jeez.
Nice.
So
yeah, I think it's tough. If you haven't bear hunted before, to actually have that patience. But I think one thing that helps is if you can look through those trail cam photos, you can kind of pick and choose and see, okay, this one is, and kind of gauge
I agree with that. But the other thing of that is the bears are probably they got to be the hardest animal to judge just how big they are.
That's what I was going to say.
The only difference the only thing that's worse is it's hard to tell the difference between a big coyote and a small wolf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can put a picture on Facebook and you'll get 500 comments that it's a coyote and 500 that it's a wolf, and half of them are wrong.
Right.
But other than that, bears are probably the hardest thing to look at a bear and go, okay, how big is that bear?
Mm-hmm.
It helps to have a barrel of something of known size there. That's one of the things I like about using the barrels. Also, the barrels help the bait from getting weathered out, and moldy or whatever. But you got something of known size that really helps. And when I was taking friends and family bear hunting up in Ontario for quite a few years, and had one of my buddies, he had a friend that came up from Texas, and he flew up all the way to rented a car, flew to Winnipeg, rented a car, and went to where we were hunting in Ontario. And I kind of had an orientation, I put a barrel out there and I said, okay, these rings are on the barrel, and anything below this ring is pretty small. And if its back is level with the top of the barrel, it's pretty big. And so that's your area right there that's where you want to be. And he goes out, and I'm thinking he flew all the way up here from Texas and rented a car, and he shot a bear in the first hour. And he rented this Ford Explorer, and he comes with this Ford Explorer and drives back into camp, and he lifts this bear out of the back of his truck like a suitcase,
Gosh.
And I'm like, well, how high was that up on the barrel? And he goes, well, I didn't let it get to the barrel. He's like, I saw a bear and I shot it.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more adrenaline involved, I think, when a bear comes in than when a deer comes in.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. People, if you ask what's the difference between bear and deer hunting, that's the most, pronounced difference. It's that you'll see a deer coming. You'll see it coming across a field or walking through the woods, or crunch, crunch. You'll hear it coming through the leaves. With bears, it's just like poof. They're there. There's a bear. You're hunting in really thick cover, and he's right there. And you don't know it until he's right in front of you, and he could kill you. He's not going to, but the reality is that's a factor that's always in the back of your
You
mind.
could definitely.
And that's what I was going to say. It's because, getting gored by a deer, attacked by a deer, pretty rare. I mean,
well, with the spikes you're hunting.
Exactly. I mean, it's probably worse with those because they're that more dumb. Right. But yeah, you always have that in the back of your head that a bear, that's a predator.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and that's going to hurt. It's got big teeth and claws. It can climb trees. That's my thing. It's like, man,
it can come and get you.
Yeah, that's my fear. Or I always watch those videos of these bear climbing up the trees, you know, at the tree stands.
Ladder stands.
Yeah, the ladder stands. Whenever the guy's like, bye, bear. I was like, nope. Well, I would have said that, and then would have had to change my shorts in the next. And so
I had one come up a wooden ladder stand a few years ago, and it was getting pretty close, and I just stuck my foot out over its nose. And then it backed down, and after I did that, I'm like, that wasn't maybe the brightest thing.
Yeah, right.
Like he could have just grabbed it or bit it or something. I'm like, but it worked.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's always a little eerie when you're out there hunting and it's dark and you've seen a bear and you have to get down and walk out.
Yeah,
I've had to do that in some dark woods before, and it's always eerie when you know there's a bear close by. And you got to get out of there.
It's one of the things that keep you coming back, though, is that adrenaline.
Right,
you know? I mean, that's part of the appeal.
Right.
It's the fear and the adrenaline that
it is a little addictive.
Yeah. It's like that return to like your primal self.
Right.
You know, when you
like this is it. I'm either going to make it out of these woods or I'm not.
I got a buck knife
and I'm going to sing the entire way out of here.
You got to sing, yeah. The bears are all sitting around, oh, it's that guy singing again.
It's a crazy guy leaving the tree again.
Now we got dinner
vocal lessons.
We got dinner that sings. Awesome.
Yeah, at least we know where to find him.
Right. Trust me, I've done it.
I'm sure everyone has.
I've done it walking out of the woods after deer hunting.
I'll tell you what, from a guide's perspective. Yeah. From a guide's perspective, we used to allow people to get down out of the stand and walk out to where we're going to pick them up with a four-wheeler, but we found that a lot of people were getting down 15, 20 minutes early and walking out because they didn't want to walk out in the dark. And so we changed our policy like 3 years ago. I said, okay, we're going to pick you up at the base of the tree. Okay, you stay in the tree. We're going to drop you off and you get up in the tree, and we're not going to leave until you're ready. And then when we come and pick you up, you come down from the tree when we're there. Yep. And that way we know that they're not getting down and
right. Yeah.
People that you wouldn't think would be afraid can be.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Did your success rates just skyrocket with that policy change?
Well, I wouldn't say it skyrocketed, but we spooked a lot less bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, these bears are pressured in Minnesota. They get quite a bit of hunting pressure. So if you spook them off the bait, they might not come back for a week, or they might not come back in the daylight for the rest of the year. And so it's better to have somebody walk in at dark than it is to have somebody climbing out of a tree 15 minutes before dark when the bears are just like staging. A lot of times the bigger bears, especially, they'll just kind of move part way around the bait and smell and look. And you don't know they're there, but they're there. And when they step out, that's the first you've seen them, but they might have been there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's really bad to have people climbing out of the stand 15 minutes before dark.
Isn't it crazy how such a large animal can be so ninja-like and stealthy?
Right.
Yeah.
And they are too.
That's what amazes me.
Every time I've hunted, and that's like Bernie said, it's like, you're sitting there, man, and all of a sudden, holy shit, there's a bear right there, 30 yards from me. I didn't even hear it come in.
Yeah.
And I like to say that if you hear a bear coming, it's because he intended to be heard.
Yeah.
And they do that. They'll step on a twig and crack it, or they'll make a woof noise or something. And they want to get a reaction from anything that might be at the bait that might beat them up or something. But usually if you hear a bear coming, it's because he was intending for something to hear him,
Yeah.
He caught your scent or something.
Yeah. Or, or there's a bigger bear that's been around this bait, and he's concerned to try to get a reaction so he knows if he's safe to come in or not.
I suppose, yeah. So what is your go-to bait for August 15th.
It's trail mix.
Is it the new one you mixed up?
It's the new. Yeah, I got my own trail mix now. It's called the Bear Professor Mix.
There you go.
And I went to Wildwood Bear Bait and I said, can you make this for me exactly the way I want it with the right percentage of dried fruits and nuts? I don't want a bunch of peanuts and I don't want too much sweets because you can over sugar the bear. They'll eat like a bunch of licorice or whatever, sugars, and then they go, oh boy, I don't need more of that. Mm-hmm. So I just gave him a formula. I said, this is what I want. And he's got this huge mixing thing. It mixes thousands of pounds of bait at a time. And he just made a mix for me. It's the trail mix that they called it the Bear Professor Mix.
Nice.
And so, yeah.
Just M&Ms and Adderall.
There's actually a Minnesota law that you can't use any kind of thing that will make the bear lethargic.
Right.
Yeah.
So people used to do that.
Really?
They'd give them something that would put them to sleep or something, or just make them really lethargic in hopes of getting a chance to shoot them.
Well, doesn't sugar do that?
Yeah, right. It does for me.
Me too. Sugar crash for sure. So can other people buy that bait mix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he has enough of it. Some of the ingredients in it, like the dried pineapple and dried mangoes and stuff like that, man, the bears they love that stuff, but it's hard to get.
Yeah, I suppose.
So whatever he can, he said he's gonna mix up more and sell it to other people. And I said, you got to call it the Bear Professor Mix because it's my mix.
Right. So do you hunt mainly, first season or, right away, or how long does your season go? Because I know we've heard other bear guides, they just hunt like that first week. And then
I do 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I do a 6-day and then I take 1 day off. We got to change all the sheets and take a deep breath and stuff like that. And then the next group comes in. So I do 2 6-day hunts.
Gotcha.
The way I do it. And I've been limiting it to 6 or 7 a week. Really, I could certainly take more, but I don't want it to take over my life. I love it doing it the way I'm doing it right now without getting it too big, Yeah. And I like to, I like that personal touch that you get to meet everybody. And there's guides there's one guide in Minnesota that took 67 hunters last year. And I don't think,
Jeez.
Probably most of them didn't even get to meet the guy that owns the company. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
And for me, I'd like to have a little more personal contact with people.
Did you have a good success rate last year? I heard a lot of bear hunters really had a good year because obviously the bear had to come into the bait to eat.
Yeah, we did. We actually, I think the first week we were done like on the 3rd or 4th night, and the second week it was the 4th night. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but last year was easy. It was like, take your pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I had hunters that saw, I think the most anybody saw was 7 bears in one night.
Wow.
So,
yeah, they were starving last year. Drop a potato chip, you're going to have a bear.
I got 30-gallon barrel on one bait. I filled it up at noon, and I was looking at the trail camera pictures, and there's bears that came in at 4 o'clock, and there wasn't anything left. So the bears that came in the evening, they didn't get anything.
Yeah.
So we were filling it every single day in the early afternoon, and it was gone by evening.
Wow, that's crazy. Definitely going to have to invest.
Yeah, we ended up killing 4 bears off that bait because, we'd shoot one and then we'd let it rest, and then the bears would settle back down, and then we put somebody in there and he'd shoot one, and we'd let it rest a day, and I think we shot 4 off of that one.
Wow. So with your 30 bases, how many, square miles do you tend to go from your camp, or roughly?
The farthest bait is probably, it's about 35 minutes from camp.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And you always kind of choose the same bait spots as long as they're kind of coming to
get
it?
better the more you do them.
Okay.
The more you use them, the better they get, because generations of bears start to know where they are.
Yeah, I suppose.
And like last year, we talked about the bears were hungry. I put trail cameras on some of my bait sites before the opening of baiting, and so there weren't even any baits on it, and the bears were already starting to check them. I had trail camera pictures of bears before the baits were even out.
Huh.
So they knew where they were.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
And do you have issues with, other hunters, Jimmy, moving in, moving
I haven't
into
hunted
your
in 5
area,
years.
you know?
I try to get along with people, and I've actually, like last year, I just dropped a bait because there was a guy baiting pretty close, and I'm like, you know what? He waited 5 years for this tag. I don't want him to have to compete with a professional guide. I just let him have it.
Yeah.
And I just backed out of there. But for the most part, I prefer to talk to people and say, where's your bait? Rather than tripping over each other, why don't you just have a communication and say, okay, where you at? And I had a guy that drew a tag that he has a cabin right in where some of my best baits are. And he came and talked to me, and he says, I got a tag this year. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you 2 really good spots. And then those will be your baits this year. But then next year, you won't have a tag. They'll be my baits. And so I'm thinking, I can really help him out, but also these baits will be better next year. Yeah. So he got a nice bear, and then I'm using those baits this year. So, that's the 3rd time I've done that with somebody that just came to me and said, I got a tag and I'm going to be baiting around you. And I'm like, well, let's work together,
Yep.
For sure. Well, that's the way to do it, especially since considering you can't hunt every year anyway. So,
right.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Bear numbers this year. Think they're, up, down?
The bear numbers have been growing pretty much every year for quite a few years.
Okay.
The DNR did issue a few more tags this year. They've been getting a lot of pressure. There's a lot of bears around, and the bear population's high. Everybody knows they're high. And our bear biologists, they kind of go by they have these computer models, but they can vary from them a little bit. And I think they just became convinced that their computer models were underestimating them a little bit.
Yep.
And so like Zone 27 got 100 extra tags this year. And I think it went from was it 400 overall? Maybe. I think it went from 3,600 to 4,000 or something like that.
Okay.
And so, they're understanding that there's
a lot.
There's a lot of bears.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm known as the bear guy, so people come talk to me all the time, and they're like, "Hey, I saw a bear going across the Arby's parking lot in Brainerd, and we got a bear on my bird feeder, and I got all these people coming. I hear all the stories.
Yep.
So I kind of know what the trends are, and right now, a lot of people are talking about there's bears all over.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing too. Yeah. From here all the way up north. Yeah. And I remembered what I was going to ask you, and you mentioned it earlier that you can feed bears right now.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
Can you do that where you're going to hunt?
So the way the law reads is that you can't hunt within 100 yards of where you've been feeding bears before the opening of baiting.
Okay.
Okay. So, technically you could be baiting bears, and then when opening day of baiting comes, you could move your bait 100 yards away.
Right.
And hunt there. But frankly, at the cost of bait, I don't want to be feeding them all summer.
True story. Right. True story. Yeah. Because and
I don't know if it'd be that much of an advantage, because when we got 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks to bait bears. And if you're on location and you're using the right bait, you should have no trouble getting a bear on your bait.
Right.
But location's important,
Yeah.
Here's a question I get all the time. People say, I got a trail camera out, and we got 80 acres, and I got a bear on my property. And, do you think I got a good spot for a bait on my property? I'm like, okay, you don't have a bear on your property because bears travel long distances. There's a reason that bear was there. It might have been just passing through, or it might have been a fluke, or if you're consistently getting pictures of bears, then you probably got a good spot for a bait. If there's, water nearby and everything that the bears need, but you don't have a bear on your property. We have bears at north of Grand Rapids that they put GPS collars on. They're going 90 miles to the south every fall to where there's down by northeast of Brainerd, the Mission Lake area is where it is. There's a lot of really good quality white oaks in that area, and there's masses of bears that come from northern Minnesota and go down there when the white oak acorns drop. And how do they know? I have no idea. They've been doing it for generations, I suppose, but who figured it out?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But
miles.
You want to talk about bears traveling. There was a bear that was collared in the UP that was shot in southwestern Wisconsin. They got a sow that is north of Grand Rapids that's got a GPS collar, and she went all the way across northeastern Minnesota, across the boundary waters, up into Atikokan, Ontario. And she denned up there and had at least two cubs. But the next spring, she's back north of Grand Rapids with these cubs. Wow. And, you think about these little cubs, you could fit two of them in a 5-gallon bucket.
Right.
And they came all that way, 120 miles. Can you imagine they had to swim across rivers and lakes? And how many logs did they scramble over?
Yep. Right. And roads did they cross?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. You think about, that's pretty amazing. And they know she has two cubs. They don't know if she could have had more and lost some or whatever. Mm-hmm. The average number of cubs in Minnesota is 2.7. There's more that have 3. And I've had many sows with 4 cubs on my cameras in the last few years.
I think I had one this year.
To be more common. 2.
Yeah.
Survival rate of cubs are pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say, I'm just throwing out numbers here, but out of the 2.7, I'm sure over 2 average survive.
Yep.
To at least their first year, and once they get to be yearlings, they're in pretty good shape.
Right.
One of the biggest, there's 2 big predators on small bear cubs, and that's male bears and wolves.
Yep.
And most people are surprised that wolves kill cubs whenever they can. If they can get them away from a tree, wolves will eat cubs. And the big male bears will kill cubs. And, I think it's a myth that people think they're killing the cubs because the sow has to come, it'll bring the sow back into heat. And I don't think that's the case. I think the cubs are made out of meat, and that's why they're killing them,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, and if you and I'll tell you why I think that. If you think about the fact that, first of all, the sow, to come into heat, she has to be non-lactating. So they would not just have to, they'd have to kill both or 3, they'd have to kill all her cubs.
Yeah.
And the odds of a male bear being able to kill all the cubs to bring her back into heat are pretty slim. And then, it has to be at the right time that she's got time to quit lactating and actually, I think that's just an old wives' tale, personally. Mm-hmm. I think they kill them because they're good to eat.
Right.
Yep.
And I've only had a experience with very few male bears that I've seen actually kill cubs or whatever, but in every case they've eaten them. So, they're not just killing them and leaving them lay.
Yeah.
Right. So I was talking to somebody today about age class of deer. When it comes to bear, let's say the average bear kill is 250 pounds. What age would you say that bear is? Does that differ a lot, or is it
a 250-pound female could be any age, from like 3 on up.
Okay.
10, 11, 15, whatever. That would be the high end on the average female is probably 180 for an adult female. Most people overestimate, and I do too. I'm like, you'd think as many bears as I've handled, as many of those shot, I'd be better at guessing their weight, but I'm horrible. And most people way overestimate the size of their bears. The majority of bears in Minnesota are 1.5 or 2.5 years old when they're shot. Okay. And they weigh 125 to 175 mostly. But I've also seen really extraordinarily big bears that were, over 200 pounds that came back as 2-year-olds, when their teeth are aged. So the average bear shot in Minnesota is less than 150. But a 250-pound male could be, if it's a pretty heavy one, it could be a 4-year-old all the way up to, an older, like 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of variation in the amount of weight that they put on. It's pretty common for an adult male to put on 100 pounds for the time he comes out of the den in the spring until he goes back in the fall.
Mm-hmm. Right. And have you ever guided anybody to take like a Boone and Crockett?
I've got 2 Boone and Crockett's myself, but I've never had anybody that I've here in Minnesota that I've guided to a Booner. But Sadie could have had one last year. I was telling you about that 500 pounder that was laying down in front of her. And I'm like, that's a booter.
That thing had to be just a fur ball laying up there.
You have to, it looks like he could swallow the 30-gallon drum and still be hungry.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, I got trail camera pictures. The camera actually took a picture while she's in the stand and while it's laying there.
Really?
And her dad was sitting in the stand with her, and he videoed a little bit too. And actually, the bear didn't move off until I drove in on the four-wheeler, and I parked about 40 yards away and started walking in. And she said the bear stood up and looked and then walked off when I walked in. And I'm like, I walked in there like, you guys see anything? And they're like, well, there was a big one just here.
Wow. 500 pounds. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I know a few years back up in Finland, Minnesota, they shot a monster. Wasn't it like 600-700 pounds?
Yeah. There's been a couple over 700.
Yeah, I seen a picture of that thing, and I can't even imagine seeing something like that through the woods. I mean, that's what I want, but
That's
not what I want to get.
It comes time to drag it out.
right.
That's what I got a tractor for.
Yeah, I shot a 500 pounder in Manitoba. I think it's about 2015 or 2016, and we brought it out in pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, we skinned it and quartered it and carried it out. Yeah, you're not dragging a bear that size out.
I can't imagine. What do you do with a bear that's, I mean,
there's a lot of meat.
I was going to say, that's got to be a lot of meat, right?
Wow.
And I ended up just selling the hide.
Did you?
Yeah. Sold it to a taxidermist.
It had to be a heck of a rug, though.
It would cover your wall. It's wallpaper.
Yeah.
It's wallpaper.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, I guess it was great having you, Bernie. I want to mention the show again, the Black Bear Show.
Yes.
BlackBearShow.com.
Yes. What's the dates again, Dino?
July 25th through the 27th
And that is at the Carleton County Fairgrounds
in Barnum.
It's, what'd you say the price to get in per day per person?
$10
$10 only.
adult.
They got food, games for the kids. I mean, I know there's raffles, so you can win some stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great time. And if you're a bear hunter, you definitely don't want to miss it.
No, for sure. Great for all ages.
Right. So check it out. I know that it's in the latest whitetails. We had an ad in there.
Yep.
So I'm sure people have seen it there. I have it posted up on the MinBear website. And I'm sure, Bernie, I know you have a Facebook page for it with the website too. So the information's out there. So check it out. It's at the end of the month. Should be a good
fun.
time.
I'm hoping a lot of people come because I got to explain to my wife if I don't make money on this. I told her I would not lose money the first year. At least I'll break even the first year.
Yeah, right. And that's all you can hope
lots
for.
of people to pay that $10 at the door.
Yep. Right. Well, I'm hoping we can swing by and at least chip in. So
Yeah.
I want to try some of that coffee. So
I do too. And this barbecue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the name of the barbecue place?
Holy Smokes Barbecue.
Holy Smokes Barbecue. I love some barbecue. We had some good barbecue today. First with Jared. Smoked.
We did.
It was good.
Yeah.
He forgot already. He's in a meat coma still.
I am in a brisket coma right now.
I could think of worse things than being in a
Right.
coma.
I've been eating brisket since the 2nd of July, and I need a vegetable.
You don't need a vegetable. The mountain men went years without eating vegetables.
Right.
That's right.
You can do it, man. You can do it.
I will try. But thank you, Bernie. It's great.
Thanks for
My
coming
pleasure.
on.
Yeah, and I hope the season goes great for you. And
Thank you.
I hope we can have you back.
Yeah, I was going to say after season or something when it slows down, I can come back and tell us some cool
if you're
stories.
into
More
I'll have
stories.
some stories every year.
Right?
We do.
I'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk about how I did too of the season.
Yeah.
There you go.
As an old novice, because I've hunted bear before, but it's been a while.
It's because you're old.
I'm pretty old. And I'm rusty for sure.
Yeah,
Rusty for sure.
old novice.
But I'm going to get out there.
You can start a YouTube.
And come, I am not going to start a YouTube channel, but come baiting season. And if I got some good bears, I will be sharing those on the Facebook page too. So
Perfect.
And hopefully you'll see lots of
Get you a
content.
picture of this great big one that Sadie passed up.
Yeah.
So put that on your Facebook page.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
awesome.
don't have it on my phone. I'm sure I got it on my laptop. I'll send it to you.
I'd love to see a
heck
picture
yeah,
of
that'd be
that.
cool.
I got a picture of this thing laying there on the ground right when she's looking at it, and her dad's going, "You need to shoot that." She's like, and I'll send you that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So something I'll probably never see, but hey, you never know.
You might even have a good videographer with you too.
Hey,
this year.
By all means, I'll need help dragging that 400-pounder out.
You have a tractor.
At my place.
Still got to get it in the bucket, right?
Right?
That's true.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks a lot,
Bernie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and Wolf Dot Report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.
Minbow. Member driven, bow hunter focused. Join today at mnbowhunters.com.